Welcome, students. This is our first lecture today of our course entitled Ancient Empires. And today's first lesson is going to be about defining empires, because before we can study empires, we must first understand what it is that we're studying, if we're going to make any sort of improvement. So, I begin with a simple question. Empires versus kingdoms. These terms get thrown around a lot in ancient discussions, talking about the past. So, the question I have to ask you is simple. Which of these is an empire, and which of these is a kingdom? We have two territories. One an empire, one a kingdom. One is Narmer's territory in Egypt. This is Old Kingdom Egypt. The other is Solomon's territory in Israel and some of the surrounding Canaanite kingdoms that have been put into his dominion. The question I have is this. Which of these is an empire, and which of these is just a kingdom? Solomon. Now, some of you are going, what's going on right now? After all, Narmer's territory was substantially larger. He's a pharaoh and a conqueror. And yet he is but a king, and Solomon, who is addressed multiple times as king, is in effect an emperor. So you're confused? Well, you should be. Ancient texts make this very confusing for three main reasons. One, there are individuals entitled as kings who reign over empires. Think King Solomon of Israel, or King Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire. Then there are emperors who reign over kingdoms. Think the Yamato emperors of Japan, of the Meiji dynasty, and even before. Japan is a kingdom by most definitions, and yet its leader is an emperor. And then there are some civilizations that are simply ambiguous. Take China. They're ethnically heterogeneous. China has so many different peoples and languages that could easily be 5 nations, easily be 10 different nations, and yet they're one throughout much of their history. But ideologically, especially under the Han and the Tang, and later the Ming and the Yan, and even the Qing, they're united under a single defining ideology. This is rather unusual. They're ruled by an emperor, yet their title in Chinese writing literally means central kingdom. So is China a kingdom ruled by an emperor? An empire that's particularly homogeneous? What is China? One could go on and on. So here's the point. What separates a kingdom from an empire? The basics are this. A kingdom is homogeneous. It's the same culture. These are a common people held together by bonds and common institutions. Think Narmer's Egypt. They're all Egyptian. They worship the same gods. They have the same type of culture, the same writing, united under one leader. An empire is heterogeneous. Think of Solomon's territories. You have Israel with their monotheism, but then you also have areas of Philistine lands, areas of the northern Canaanites, of the Ammonites, who have different religions, who speak different dialects of Hebrew, and who even have certain different cultures. For example, there are cultural elements related to circumcision that the Philistines did not practice, that the Israelites and their neighbors did. An empire is held together by military strength. It has a main territory with surrounding conquered regions. An empire is one of several governments in the ancient world. The smallest is the tribe, which is a group of united clans or families under a chief or chieftain. The next largest is the city-state. It's a self-ruled metropolitan, a self-ruled city, and the lands, the countryside that immediately surround it. A hegemony is the second largest, usually, and it's a city-state that controls maybe a couple of other neighboring city-states in its immediate vicinity. Then there's a kingdom. Kingdoms can vary in size, but generally they're a homogeneous population under a native government, versus an empire, which has a central territory, which may be a kingdom, it may be a city-state, a hegemony, what have you, that then controls another series of foreign territories. But it's unlike a hegemony, it's large. And that is the extent of this lesson. There's a quiz attached, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.